Hello and welcome to another DnD video. It is your host OT19 or Ultimate Gamer 19,000, and hello and welcome to episode 4 of Random Multiclass Thursdays, the Killer Mage and the Mage Killer. Before this video starts, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more DnD 5e, Baldur's Gate 3, or 1 DnD build and or discussion content. So yeah, let's get right into this video. Today's video is basically what I was kind of thinking. What if you made a character that was like Toji, in the sense that he was a mage killer, but gave him like dojo level abilities. Now, I think I was watching an episode of Critical Role why this idea just came into my head. I don't know why, but it was probably something they had to do with like killing mages or something like that. And I was like, imagine how interesting would that be, and how would that translate over to D and D? And I was like, that actually would translate pretty well into D and D. And honestly, if you want to, you could even give it a little spin where maybe you're Toji that has the 10 shadows techniques and can summon animals. So kind of over like the past weeks, I've been building up and up on this character and kind of been thinking how would it work, what type of stuff would really allow me to fully discover the flavor. And I think I fully have found what fits this flavor the best. So yeah, this build is going to start off as a human. Now, variant is going to be a mark of the handling human, which can be found in Eberron, The Last War. It is on D&D Beyond and Roll20. So make sure, just, if you're not allowed to use it, then I guess just take variant human and I don't know, take Warcaster, variant human Warcaster, or Mist or Fate Touch, whatever. But for the sake of this build, I'm assuming you're taking the mark of handling. Now, as you can see, the mark of handling gives you some pretty cool features that all have to deal with animals. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. Now I have to deal with animals. None of these features really matter, so I won't really go over them. But you can cast animal friendship and speak of animals, I think for free once per long rest, which I guess can be nice. But what we're really here is for mainly conjure animals. Conjure animals is a pretty broken spell in D&D 5e, but fits this build pretty well thematically because this is almost you summoning in your like Shinigami, your 10 shadows, or your beasts. Because if you don't know, in Megami and Jujutsu Kaisen, his whole thing is he can summon in animals. That's why he's known as the man with the most potential. Because, well, not animals, they're Shinigamis, death gods, basically. Well, that's what Shinigami translates into. And basically, the reason why he's like so powerful, it can be so powerful, is they get consecutively stronger and stronger. So with conjure animals, you could really easily like kind of summon that flavor, where maybe your 8 beasts of challenge rating ones are kind of like your beginning, the first animal you learned how to adapt or how to adopt and how to make them yours. And this can actually be a really good roleplay perspective, where your character is basically learning how to continue to like summon. Maybe he has to kill the beast or befriend it first, then he can start summoning them. And I feel like that's actually a really good example of character building, because yes, this build is mainly meant to be powerful, but I feel like a lot of people mistake being powerful with being boring. This build, yes, it does use some really broken things, but it can still bring that narrative hook, which can be basically your character maybe from like a mage school and he was disgraced. Maybe there was an incident where one of his friends was getting mistreated and he made it into his own hands, and of course, like all wizard backstories, he ended up murdering someone. They usually do it with fire, but he did it with his own bare hands, so he was kind of expelled from the magic school. And I'm assuming when he was maybe expelled, maybe he had like one fight against a wizard or maybe a druid that was able to send him away to like the Fey realm or one of those type of realms. And when he was there, he had to fight off a lot of monsters. But the more and more he fought off, the more and more they kind of start to respect him. And maybe he can have like his main pet, I don't know, like dinosaur, because dinosaurs are fey creatures. It's canon now. Um, and maybe they're like, okay, yeah, you are a leader now. We'll follow you into battle as you collect more and more of our brethren to become stronger and stronger. And then eventually, he's able to come back to the normal world with all of his new powers, and maybe that's how he further trained. And maybe that's how he's got his mark of handling. Maybe it was given to him by the animals he met in the Fey realms because they're like, okay, this is our approval of you. This is us showing you that we trust you and that you can now summon us. So maybe when he goes to cast conjure animals, like the mark he has on his body glows, and maybe from that mark a little portal opens as they all like enter out. That can be something that's really cool for flavor wise and overall just story wise. It's a very cool thing to just think of, like, oh yeah, my character spent a lot of like maybe 2 or 3 years in the Feywild, so maybe you can also make him a little disconnected from society and the world. This character may have a pretty damn low wisdom, so I feel like that could also play into it pretty well. But yeah, that's all flavor side. For stats, I would probably recommend a 17 dexterity, because thanks to Tasha's culture of everything, we can just swap autos ability scores whether we want them. 15 constitution if you don't care for wisdom. If you want to dump wisdom, 15 constitution. If you do care for wisdom, keep it a 14 constitution. For this build, since I'm going for pure numbers, I'll say 15 constitution, 16 intelligence, and a 17 dexterity, and then dump everything else. That is assuming you're using point buy. If you're not using point buy, then just kind of follow that scheme. But yeah, I think that's all from race and kind of everything else. So now with this build, personally, you could start off as a fighter. I feel like it makes more sense for this build. But since we are this is more of me looking through a sense of how powerful can we make this build without kind of like escaping the main theme. I do overall think that fighter is generally just really good and something I do eventually plan on taking. So this isn't me just taking two fighter levels because it's good. I'm taking two fighter levels. This character is a like weapon wielding character. He wields armor and overall, but he can also cast spells and even summon creatures that can help him fight. Now, as a level 1 fighter, we get proficiency in Constitution saving throws, which is really good. And overall, I do know that our Wizard subclass, spoilers, maybe Blade Singing, does provide us with something to help us with our Constitution saving throws. So if you do want to, then forgo that first level fighter and just take two first level Wizard. In reality, it's kind of up to you. Wizard saving throws are intelligence and wisdom, so I definitely do think there is a universe where you may want to start off with Wizard, but I think for now we'll just start off with Fighter because I don't really care for saving throws on this build, because this is more mainly like how strong can this build become. You do also gain to pick some stuff. Personally, I recommend just picking up some leather armor, studded leather, gold bike, studded leather, two scimitars or two short swords, whichever cheaper, and pick up a longbow for the sake of it. Because if you are playing this character at level 1, then it can't. Level 1 D&D. If you're playing this character at level 1, it probably is a smart decision to go Wizard because it fits more. But you could maybe like say that, oh, that time you spent in the Feywild, your like magic kind of escaped you a little bit. So now as you're adventuring longer and longer, it's kind of coming back to you a little bit. For your fighting style, here honestly it depends on how you want to build it. In the anime, Toji was famous for using two weapons. He usually had his inverted spear of heaven and then something else in his hand, usually his katana. But if you want to, this doesn't have to be a two-weapon fighting build. If you want to, this can be a rapier wielding build that uses dueling. Honestly, it's up to you. Now, with Blade Singing Wizard, you cannot have a shield. You cannot. So, to keep that into mind. Personally, I do recommend, if you are going to go the two fighting route, I probably would recommend picking up at least one Ruby of the War Mage. This just allows you to turn your weapon into your spellcasting focus. It's a common magical item, requires attunement by a spellcaster. I mean, I think some DMs even allow their players to start off with like a common item. So if your DM does, just start off with this, or even then, I've seen common items go up to cheap for like I've seen people give out common items for like 25 gold. So if you can, just buy Ruby of the War Mage as soon as physically possible, and then you'll be allowed to go into like that dual wielding, like part of your character. But yeah, depending, you can either take two weapon or dueling, and then yeah, after that first level, we're gonna take fighter wizard levels probably until level 6. So yeah, so now until character level 7, I say we just take more wizard levels until we'll do something else a little later. So yeah, now as a first level wizard, we get spell casting. If you get ritual caster, you can cast spells ritually. You already know what wizard spell casting does. I don't gotta explain it to you. And if you don't, well, you're just allowed to cast spells. At this level, level 1, you have two spell slots and three cantrips. So let's actually go pick out your spells and cantrips. Now for cantrips, booming blade. Yeah, this I think it's kind of obvious. Yeah, you want to take Booming Blade, you want to take Green Flame Blade. This is a martial focused wizard. So Green Flame Blade, Booming Blade, pick your favorite. But aside from those, Message, good one. Mage Hand, good one. Mending can be good. Minor Illusion can actually provide some pretty cool utility. Mm. Dancing Lights can be light. Because, yeah, this character technically can't see. So having Dancing Lights on could be nice. Chill Touch, again. Either ways, just pick one of those spells. Just make sure at least one of your spells is either Booming Blade or Green Flame Blade. Because if not, your character's kind of useless. Now, for your first level spells, I of course will recommend taking Shield, Absorb Elements. Just because those are just two really good defensive spells. Mage Armor here, actually, yeah. If you're willing to just spend one spell slot, every adventure every day to spend on Mage Armor, potentially two or three, depends how long the combat goes or how the day is. But overall, Mage Armor is something that provides you a good amount of defenses. So it's definitely a spell that I probably would recommend, maybe at higher levels where you don't really care for first level slots, to have up constantly. So Silvery Barbs again is a really good one. But if you want more combat focused, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, of course, a really good one. Magic Missile you can never go wrong with. Ice Knife fits the build pretty well. Find Familiar, I mean, this is just legit one of your fake creatures. You have Featherfall, False Life, Earth Tremor, Disguise Self, all really good spells and all have their utility. Now, at level 2 of Wizard, we gain Blade Singing. Now, Blade Singing, or subclass, we'll be picking Blade Singer. Basically, when we start off with the subclass, we gain some proficiencies in light armor, which if you started off as a wizard instead of fighter, you didn't have, and proficiency with one type of two one-handed melee weapon of your choice. So here, really depends. Do you want to be a scimitar wielding guy? You gotta pick here. Or if you want to be a rapier, you gotta pick here. Again, when you take your fighter levels, it won't matter. But for now, you kind of have to pick what you want, and you can't really change. But yeah, you also gain proficiency in performance, which you probably shouldn't have because you're a wizard that dumped charisma. So take that as you will. Next, we get Blade Song. Basically, Blade Song is something you can activate using a bonus action, but you can't activate it if you don medium or heavy armor or a shield. Or if you use two weapons to make an attack, meaning if you use like a heavy weapon or a weapon with the two-handed property. Also, Blade Singing lasts for 1 minute, and you have an amount of uses of this feature equal to your proficiency bonus, and all come back to you on a long rest. But when your Blade Song is octave, hold on, I said this so weird, active, you gain a bonus to your AC equal to your intelligence modifier, which is really good. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet, which is even better. You have an advantage on dexterity acrobatics checks, which is nice. But probably one of the best features, you gain a constitution when you gain a bonus to any constitution saving throw you make to maintain your concentration on a spell. This bonus equals your intelligence modifier. Meaning that this basically just allows you to be a wizard that doesn't really care to get up close and personal and actually kind of prefers it. And even at then, I don't know if I've said this before, but if you want to be a wizard that really just, if you want to, like, being a blade singing wizard solves so many issues with wizards, it gives them light armor, it gives them a bonus to their AC, it gives them constitution saving throw bonus. Overall, blade singing wizard just makes the wizard a better wizard, but also gives them an amount of defenses that they can be considered a decent martial, but still have all of their wizard prowess. Now, as a level 3rd wizard, you get cantrip formulas, which basically just allows you to swap out some cantrips, and it's alright. Oh, I did forget to mention that at level 1, you do gain something called Arcane Recovery, meaning you basically just, I think per short rest, once per short rest, you can regain yourself some spells you have. Now, usually, the amount of spells you can regain equals whatever your highest level spell you have access is. Let me explain that better. If you're a 7th level wizard, that means you have 4th level slots, meaning you can either take first level slots, two second, one third, and one fourth, or no, one third and one first, or one fourth. It basically equals to that. But if my explanation was bad, um, you can just read the ability. But I'm kind of paraphrasing it here because it does matter. But like it's not like a big main thing of this build. Now for second level spells, some good ones here. Arcane Lock can be pretty useful. Blur is a nice one to have up. I mean, Blur just gives everything disadvantage against you, and when you pair this up with your almost ridiculously high AC with shield, you can really be a menace on the battlefield. Unless a fireball gets thrown at you, then well, you're cooked. But let's hope that doesn't happen. Enlarge Reduce is really good for any like damaging type. If you just want to go full Nova, Flock of Familiars can be surprisingly useful. Hold Person, Broken, Invisibility can be good. Knock, good. Levitate can be surprisingly useful. Locate Object, Magic Weapon, Maximilian's Earthen Grasp can be pretty good with this build. It just allows you to basically just have someone and tell them to know they cannot move. Most Acid Arrow can be a nice Mirror Image and Blur. Honestly, kind of must have for this build because they are just really good combat related. Because with the Wizard, you still have a D6 hit dice, and yes, later on, spoilers, we will be taking tough to kind of like downset that whole thing. But if you can have Mirror Image and Blur up almost every fight, then yeah, you're just gonna be hard to hit, especially when you have your Blade Song. But even honestly, I'll kind of say if you don't have your blade song active, you should at least have either blur or more mirror image active. At least one of them, not both. But if you don't have your blade song active, make sure you at least have one. Now, if you do have your blade song active, then you don't really need them, but you still will benefit from them. Misty Step, of course, is another must-have spell for a wizard. Sometimes you just want to get out of combat, out of melee, and just go back and just start throwing fireballs. Scorching Ray, Shadow Blade actually makes really good thematic sense with this build. Just being able to summon in a blade that deals really good damage 2d8. At lower levels, this is a lot more powerful. But maybe if your DM hates magic items, then maybe you don't have Shadow Blade, and maybe Shadow Blade genuinely is one of the better spells in the game. It's really up to you. Tasha's Mind Whip and Web again are two pretty good spells. Vortex Warp also. Now all of the spells I just listed just in case anyone's confused. You don't have to take any of them. Those are kind of just spells I genuinely recommend for this build. Now at level 4, as a Blade Singing Wizard, we gain an ability score improvement. Now here, honestly, you can do some things. There are some half feats that can increase dexterity, so if you want to, take one of those. Or if your Constitution is a 15, you can take a +1 to Constitution and a +1 to Dexterity. This will allow you to have an 18 Dexterity and a 16 Constitution, making your bulk much better, your armor class much better, your initiative much better, your attack. Overall, it's gonna do you a lot of good. But if you want to, just take a half feat that increases your dexterity. I can't think of any aside from like Slasher that increases your dexterity. Does lightly armored? Wait, wouldn't it be like light armor mastered? Is it as well? Yeah, that one. Like you don't need that, huh? Because I know there's like a heavy armor mastered. So I wonder if there's like a light armor master or something of those lines that gives you a bonus if you use like light armor, heavy armor master. No, I don't think there is. Not weird. But yeah, anything that can kind of increase your dexterity, I probably would recommend taking it. Yeah. Now, as a wizard level 5, we gain 3rd level slots, allowing us to cast some pretty nice 3rd level spells. First of all, I think one of the must haves here is if you're in your Blade Song, you gotta take Haste. Hochimama's Haste is so damn powerful. I can't find it here. But Haste, yeah, I found it. Haste is generally one of the best spells in the game, especially when your Constitution saving throw bonus is really high. And if you started off as a fighter, it probably because it's plus your proficiency bonus. Your proficiency bonus would be a +3, plus your Constitution, which is a +3, then then another +3, thanks to Blade Song. That's a +9 to Constitution. Most Constitution checks you won't even have to roll because you're already beating the DC even if you roll a 1. Meaning Haste becomes probably a spell you should always have active, and it gives you a +2 to AC, advantage on dexterity saving throws, giving you more survivability, more tankiness, and gain an additional action on your turn. Now this action cannot be used to cast Booming Blade, for example, but yeah, it's still pretty good. Or just take dashes, engage high. Let's say if you're hasted, you go in, you do a slash, but maybe it's been like a couple turns since you hasted yourself, and you realize maybe I need to get out of here. and you get back, cast some fireballs, be a more utility control focused wizard. You can still attack them twice, use your disengage action, get out of there, or you can disengage out of there and then just cast a spell at them. Whatever you really want to, you can do. Haste is just such a broken pick with this build. Of course, lightning bolt, and yeah, that's gonna be good for a reason. But this is a mage killer build. Your whole point of this build is that you're a hired gun. You're really good at killing mages. So counterspell, of course, is probably a must-have pick with this build. And now you do gain access to conjure animals, so you can finally summon in those fake creatures that helped you your whole journey in the Feywilds, at least, and have them help you in your current journey, you and your fellow adventurers. So counterspell, of course, I think is one you have to pick because this whole point of this build is that you are a mage hunter. The whole reason you were in the Feywild was because you were sent there by a mage you were paid to hunt. So yeah, I think picking counterspell is a good one. Also, Spirit Shroud. If you don't want to have haste up because you don't like the risk haste has with it, Spirit Shroud is a very good one. Now, also, summons. Any of these summon spells, honestly, you can take and there can be pretty easily reworked into this is the creature you summon because thanks to your connect, or maybe these are just creatures you can summon because you beat them up and then boom, you got them. The one problem with this build that should be already apparent to most people is that it is concentration heavy. A lot of the spells you want to cast are sadly concentration, meaning the ones that aren't kind of are pretty massive. Also I take Fireball, of course, but I don't have to say that. I almost make spells like Blur's concentration. Blur is concentration. That's what makes spells like what's it called? Mirror image so good with the spell. It's not concentration. You can have it up for free, and it just brings you a level of survivability that, in reality, you won't be able to reach most likely. Now, as a level 6 wizard, we gain the Bladesinger's extra attack, meaning the Bladesinger's extra attack is a special one, because I'm pretty sure it's the only one in the game that allows you to replace one of your attacks you use when you take the attack action with the casting of a cantrip, allowing you to basically Booming Blade once and then just stab normally. And then as a bonus action, you can now stab again since you technically took the attack action, not casting the cantrip action, which is pretty nice. So if you are a dual wielder, you can now fully relive that fantasy of being a dual wielder without having to worry about, oh, you're not allowed to because whatever. So now, if you are a dual wielder, then oh, is this gonna feel so nice. Now, as a level 7 wizard, we gain 4th level slots. Now, 4th level spells, um, charm monster. I feel like that makes sense. Dimension door can be nice. Control water has its utility. Fire shield makes sense. Any of the summon spells, of course, makes sense. Summon aberration, construct, greater demon, all of them make sense. Polymorph, I needed to spend time with some phase, so polymorph makes sense. Ice storm, good pickup. Greater invisibility is pretty nice, and gravity sinkhole. If your DM allows you to have them, then might as well. Why not? If it we ball, but yeah, that's kind of it. Those spells are pretty good. There's no real like noticeable picks for 4th level. It's kind of just like, yeah, these spells are nice to have, but your 3rd level ones are just so nice. That's like, yeah. At 8th level, we gain an ability score improvement. Now, okay, I kind of have to stir it back here a little bit. I kind of went off the rails a little bit. Now, if you want to, you can honestly just take that 1st level fighter at beginning and then be good for the rest of your campaign. But this is a Mage Slayer focused build. So I feel like at 6th level, right there, we would probably want to go back into Fighter. So, and Fighter level 2, which I think is what I will be doing, we get Action Surge, allowing us to use a second action on a turn, which does allow us to cast 2 spells in a turn, read the rules, or to cantrips in a turn. Because we would do our attack action, cantrip slash, action surge, cantrip slash, then bonus action slash. Also, I level 1 fighter. I forgot to mention we get second win. Second win can be pretty good because you do have low HP, but again, you have low HP, so take that as you will. But yeah, action surge is really nice, in general. Now, here is the thing. Do you want to get a subclass for this build? I personally do, because I think it fits really well. And I think, you can never go wrong with the Battle Master. Battle Master Fighter, I think, is going to be our pick, because it's just so good. With the Battle Master, you gain 3 maneuvers, which these maneuvers are powered by superiority dice. And basically, when you make an attack, you can spend 1 superiority dice to do a maneuver. And usually, you add that superiority dice, which is a D8 in this case, to the damage of the attack. And then a cool special thing happens. Now, this does scale off your dexterity modifier, which can be a little annoying, but it's still a good switch. A good choice. Now, here, bait and switch can be a very nice one, especially if you know one of your teammates doesn't have the highest armor class and they don't want to spend their action like disengaging, because if not, they are going to fall. So you can just bait and switch, get them out of there, increase your armor class by a d8, and just stand there with shield, with mirror image, blade song, mage armor active if you're higher levels, and just fully have an AC of like 30 and just fully eat up hits because they can't even hit you. Disarming attack can be a pretty damn good one. Sometimes maybe you're facing a monster that has a really massive sword and you just don't want to do that. Now, parry, it makes sense, but it's not the best. What else? What else are some pretty? Oh, riposte. Riposte is a really good one. Riposte just allowing you to use a reaction to hit an enemy back. If you feel like an enemy won't, if you feel like you won't be needing shield or silvery barbs in a turn, honestly, riposte. Or if you feel like if you riposte here, this enemy will die. And honestly, riposte is a really good pick with your reaction. It allows you Oh yeah, melee weapon attack. You can't cast Booming Blade, but still, overall, Repulse is a good pick. Also, Trip Attack is pretty damn nice. Also, Tactical Assessment makes sense, but isn't the best, so pick that as you will. I think Trip Attack, Riposte, and maybe and Bait and Switch, I think honestly is the ones you should pick. And also, I did forget to mention, these maneuvers do recharge on a short rest, giving us a reason to want a short rest aside from just getting more spells back. But yeah, now, back to where we was. Level 7, I already went through it. But for level 8 of being a wizard, I personally I think we probably should either increase our intelligence here or max out our dexterity. Now, I kind of gave you the pros and cons of both. If you want your armor class to be higher temporarily, go for intelligence. If you want your constitution score to be higher temporarily, go with intelligence. If you want your spell save DC and spell attack roll to be higher, go intelligence. If you want your armor class permanently to be higher, dexterity, attack your weapons to hit harder and more often, dexterity. And if you want a higher initiative, go dexterity. Honestly, it's pick and choose. And honestly, if we don't max out dexterity here, we'll just max out for our next ASI and vice versa. So honestly, it really depends on you. I think here, honestly, it really depends on your campaign. If you have yourself a good magical like short sword, or maybe you got like a gambler's blade or something. If somehow your DM got you a gambler's blade with a parry of wound closer, so you're just able to use a gambler's blade at +3 permanently, which I know is it's not the rarest combo. It's a uncommon and a rare magic item. It's not the most broken thing, but still, whatever. If you want to, and maybe if you have like a +3 weapon somehow, then I probably would recommend just increasing your intelligence. But if you don't have like a +3 weapon at level 11, whatever level we are, uh, yeah, level 11 actually, I personally recommend probably just increasing your dexterity, max that thing out. It will only do you good. Now at level 9, we gain 5th level spells, which is pretty cool because we gain some pretty nice stuff. I mean, Migby's Hand, again, can just be another one of our summons. Animate Objects, another one. Cloud Kill, this is a good spell. Like, it just can be really nice. Cone of Cold, good one. Conjure Elemental, fits the build. Um, Contact Other Plane probably is a good fit for this build because, like, maybe we can talk back to those fake creatures that raise us. Dominate Person is a good spell, but doesn't really fit the build. Hold Monster, however, does very much fit this build. Casting Hold Monster and then just start to like beat into someone Modified memory. You work with fake creatures most likely, so it does work. Synaptic static again, just a really good spell. Telekinesis again, good spell. Summon Draconic Spirit fits the build pretty well. Teleportation Circle again, just a really good spell. So take that as you. Whoa, so Wall of Force, just also a good spell. I mean, I feel like a lot with these wizard spells, they're just like doesn't really fit the build too well, but again, it's a good spell, so take it. Now, level 10, we gain a subclass feature with the wizard, Song of Defense. Beginning at 10th level, you can direct your magic to absorb damage while your blade song is active. When you take damage, you can use a reaction to expend one spell slot and reduce that damage by an amount equal to 5 times the spell slot level. Honestly, this kind of is pretty bad because if we do the math here, presuming you have mage armor up. You know what? We'll actually do the math here. Presuming you have mage armor up, that's 13. Plus a dexterity of, let's say, 5, because you got a 20. You're at 18. Plus blade song, that's a plus 3. So you're at 21. Plus shield, you would be on the 26 AC with all of your boosters acquitted for. And also, that's not counting if you have mirror image up or anything else that can boost your AC. Or if you have bait and switch up, and bait and switch can possibly get you up to a 34 at highest, which is pretty ridiculous. But if we're assuming averages, which is a 4, you can get like a 30 AC. I mean, like there's no need. Like, this feature is kind of useless because this whole class already gives you so many defensive features that increase your armor class. That's like I can make damage hit me a little harder, a little less. I mean, but like I just cast shield. He can't hit me now. Like there's like no real point to get this. At 10th level, it's alright, but at 13th level, this is just plain out useless in my opinion. But at 11th level, and honestly, I think this is probably where we're ending today's build. We get some pretty cool. We get 6 level slots, which of course, Chain Lightning, pretty good. Create Undead, good. Disintegrate, well, that's fun. I love that spell. Um, again, these are just spells that are just good. Scatter, Soul Cage, Summon Fiend, Sunbeam, Tensor. No, okay. Now I do want to make some little points around Tasha's otherworldly guise, but mainly Tensor's transformation. But first of all, we'll go after Tasha's otherworldly guise. Now, this spell is pretty good. You gain immunity to either fire or poison damage or radiant necrotic. Immune to the poison condition or charmed. You gain a fly speed, a +2 to your AC. All your weapon attacks are magical. When you make a weapon attack, you can use your intelligence instead of your strength or dexterity. You can attack twice, which you already have, but whatever. This spell is pretty damn nice. And also, you don't give up spell casting. On the other hand, Tensor's transformation is pretty booty, purely because you give up your spell casting. Now, 50 temporary hit points is really nice, but just being able to say you don't even hit me at all with shield is nicer. Advantage on attack rolls, that's just cool. An extra 2d12 force damage, again, that's nice, but it's more with Tensor's transformation. It's more like, do you just want to become a dumb like, I'm going in, I'm gonna fight. Overall, I feel like if you do want to cast one of these transformation spells, don't take Tensors, take Tasha's, because Tasha's otherworldly guise really has no downsides. It is less powerful, but again, you still have the full spell casting of a Blade Singer. You can still, because also this is a bonus action, so you could just cast this. Sorry, burping. Hello. Fly up to your enemy and just start going ham on them. And also your AC does increase too, which is always nice. And also you cannot attack with your intelligence, which isn't really useful, but being immune to fire or poison or radiant necrotic can really be a lifesaver in some fights. But yeah, honestly, that's kind of it for today's build. But before you leave, if for some reason your DM allows you to multi-class without having the prerequisite ability scores, meaning you don't have to have a 13 charisma or strength for, you rolled stats or having an increased point buy, and let's say you did good, you can of course take 2 levels of paladin. Now this is purely dumb. This is for like you shouldn't do this, but if you can, you probably should because it's funny. Taking 2 levels of paladin, of course, gives you divine smite, allowing you to do an extra 2d8 damage for a first level slot, up to 5d8, or 68 if you target a fiend or undead. I'm not gonna count it for this build or what it can do, but in a world where you can take some paladin levels, at least two, you you maybe should. Your DM probably will hate you, but it'll be funny. They can't say it's not funny. But overall, for the final thoughts on this build, I kind of want to give you some of the weaknesses, some of the strengths of this build. First of all, you have the full spell list of the wizard. You have the full power of a wizard. You have the OP broken spell list everyone always moans and complains about. That's too broken, makes martials suck. You still have it. You have access to it on full strength. You can copy spells from scrolls, which I really didn't go over to. You have ritual casting, which is extremely useful. And you have kind of the some of like the martial prowess of the fighter. Overall, this build is pretty good when it comes to damage wise. Granted, it won't be no great weapon master, but when paired with the utility, it can do pretty good. It also has really good I mean, even with the sword cantrips, you're still going to be doing a lot of damage. Again, one of the other strengths is your armor class is going to be nearly impossibly high, especially if you have Tasha's otherworldly transformation. Your AC is going to be stupidly high. Now, for some of the downsides of this build that I do have to mention, your HP is not going to be looking too good. Unless you take tough, or maybe if you're looking at this video like a year or two after and one DnD is out, maybe if you can take tough as your first level feat, then of course this problem isn't really here, but you're mainly taking wizard levels. You have a d6 hit dice, and that isn't going to change. So, again, be careful of that. If you can get one of those amulets that gives you a 19 constitution, then please by all means get it or buy it. It'll save you more than you can imagine. But yeah, aside from that, this build is really, it has the tank in the sense of, you can have really good, you can have really good AC armor class, and your saving throws are pretty good if you have haste up. But if you don't, then having an amulet of health can really help you out. And overall, this build is a little multi-ability score dependent, meaning you want a good intelligence, dexterity, and constitution. And unless you have rolled for stats or really increased point buy, then you're gonna have to dump something that you probably don't want to dump, which again does suck a little. But aside from that, yeah, this is the build. It has really good flavor. It has flavor, but it's still very powerful, which I feel like all good D&D builds should have an equal amount of both flavor and power. So yeah, that's honestly all from your boy. If you have any magic item combinations that are broken with this build, or have played a build similar to this, leave down your experience below. And overall, yeah, that's it from your boy. Make sure to be respectful, and overall just a good person. And yeah, OT19 signing out. Peace.